I'm not so sure how the recording is going to work, but however, let's see how today goes. So then we'll let
you cannot see the two screens.
You can't see the two screens?
No, yeah.
What can you see?
Just, I can only see one.
One.
What?
The one with the flow chart or something.
Okay.
This is Agile Development.
Sorry, 1 minute. I'm trying to share the screen again. So.
Okay.
What now?
It seems it's not allowing me to see it.
So who?
Sorry, hold on, guys. I need to sign out and sign in again to see if I can share the screen.
No problem. I'm busy.
So today we're going to start with Selenium and Specflow. So, but before we start, I'll just do a quick intro. This is not an Agile class, it's just a Selenium and Specflow class. But however, I will start with just a quick introduction of what Agile or development, software development is all about. So 1 minute. So yeah, like I said, I will touch a bit on test-driven development, Specflow with BDD, and also software development lifecycle. Then basic Specflow, then features. What is a feature in Specflow? What is Gherkin, and also Gherkin language. Then also, if time permits today, we go into step definition, and also I don't think we'll be able to cover the data-driven testing. So, but I'll push that to later dates. So, and running Selenium with Chrome and IE. So, yeah. So, swiftly, let's go through software development lifecycle. So, it starts with planning, right? You plan what you want to do, and you move to business analysis, which is done by BA, and also design, implementation. If you are talking about implementation, the same thing some people call development. So from there, you move to the step 5, which is testing and integration. That is our focus even today. So then also maintenance, or what is in life. So this is kind of a waterfall one. So, but I'll move to the agile one. So even though you do development, but everything is done in cycle, in iterate development cycle. So you have your development being done, and also integration testing and normal testing done within that cycle. Then you go into that, you do your iteration until your release is ready and you can release to the client. So like I said, this is just a brief overview. It's not agile class. So if you need an agile training, then I think after this training, after this today, this evening one, I will send an invite to see what we should cover in previous one. So in the next phase. So, and I'm not going to talk about this. So, but the most important thing is, okay, we are in a team, and our point is that we want to focus on today is testing, but we are not working in isolation. We are working with a lot of people. The business analyst is there, which is going to do the analysis of the work we have to do. Also, there are developers also, which is going to do the implementations, and you have your product owners and everyone. So that is what that is. So let's start with test-driven development. It's easy. So as it's called in short, TDD. It's iterative development process. So it's basically you have a set of tests, and it's written to test a piece of functionality. So the first thing you do, because as the name implies, it's test-driven development. It is based on tests. So it's not like you develop and you test. But the first thing you do in TDD is you write your tests before you start your developing your code. So, and the first thing when you write your test, of course, because there's no code to test, it's going to fail. So then after that, you write your code, then you now test it again. So, and it should pass or fail. When it fails, you go to your code again, and then you can write. So when you go to your code again, you do refactoring, or you fix the bug, and from there go on until the test passes. I'm not going to go into more of the theory. So benefits of TDD, I'm going to send this to you later. So, but it's benefits of TDD. So I'm actually just brief overview of why we are doing this. That's so that I don't just jump into Selenium or Specflow without having a overview of where we sit in the development team. So, like I said, this is in iteration. So you go from requirement and you start your testing. Your test is run. You get a failure. When it fails, you go to developers to implement the code again or do refactoring. Then also the cycle continues like that until it passes, and then it goes into the completion of that particular feature. So, and I also put some reference. So, like I said, it's most of these things I just gather them together. I didn't have time to actually modify them. So I put the reference to where those documents are, so that you can actually go in there. So then, yeah. So this is where we're going to start the fun part, which is BDD, Behavioral Driven Development. What exactly is Behavioral Driven Development? It's an extension of TDD that we've seen above. So you start your testing first also, and you add your code. But it's basically different from TDD in the sense that your program is written in English. So it's basically English-like. So, and the focus is on the users. So it's basically English that a business can understand, and also to clarify the requirements. So if you want the features of BDD, that's it for you. I'm not going to go through that. So it's all just theory. So, but it's basically encourage collaboration within a team, because then you are talking about the same natural language that everyone understands. The business understand it, developer understand it, the tester understand it, and also the business owner also understand the English. So, and then you can also collaborate together in that. So there are different frameworks that you can use for BDD. So Cucumber is one. So it's not the cucumber fruit, it's a cucumber framework. So, and there's Specflow also, JBA, all of them are you can also use for BDD. But in this lesson or this class, we're going to focus on Specflow. So, and more often than not, you see everywhere scattered on the web where people talk about Cucumber, talk about Specflow, and you don't even know which one is which. To be honest, they are basically similar. So what I can say is like they do basically the same thing, but it's only the language that as a backend, that's what actually difference. So I can say if you write your test framework in Java, you'll be using Cucumber. But if your test framework is written in C#, you're going to use Specflow. So that means that you don't go to an interview and say, I use Java, but I use Specflow with Java. So that's totally wrong. So you don't use Specflow with Java. You use Cucumber with Java, and you use Specflow with C#. So, and also there's Ruby also the same way also. So in this lesson, so we're going to focus on C# and we're going to use Specflow. So, and like I said, Specflow now is written in a language that is called Gherkin, or either Cucumber or the Specflow is written in a language called Cucumber, and we in Gherkin rather. So we're going to study the syntax of this Gherkin language, where exactly it is. So it's basically like how business will write their acceptance criteria for features you're about to test. But how did they write it? And in Gherkin, it's line-oriented language. It uses indentation to define your structure. So like I said, so you have to indent it to make sense to business. And one thing I want to say here also is like every programming language will have like comment. How am I going to comment lines out? In Gherkin, if you want to comment any lines out, you need to use the hash sign. So, and also, Gherkin in Specflow that we're going to use, there are three things that are so important that you need to know how Gherkin is divided. You have your features, you have your scenarios, and you have your steps. So all of them we're going to go into them in details. So, and each scenarios also, there's a step definition that's attached to each of the steps. So which is your block of code. That's where your Selenium comes in. So everything will have to come together. So a sample of a Gherkin language is what I've written there. Line 1 is a feature line, right, which explains what exactly you're about to do. It's just a descriptive text. So, and what is more important is the one in bold. The one is in bold is very, very important. So you shouldn't miss that. So after you put your feature, you need to now explain where exactly is that. So then after that, you can indent it and put as many lines of explanation that you want to put. So even if you don't want to put any explanation, you just delete it. So line 3 to 4 only explain what you're about to do. So for instance, I'm about to test a posting application. So you explain what that is so that the business can understand what you're about to do. Then also from line 6, it follows the scenario. So with scenario line is like, oh, now what, because you can have different scenario that you are about to, you can use to test a feature. So for instance, I'm about to test a posting, let's say, an example is I want to post I will use a website that I use for training, which is givefrit.com. It's basically you go in there, you post your adverts, or you post what you want, like a Gumtree, so to say. So, but in this regard, you can have a feature to post different things. You want to post wanted, you want to post offered. So in the scenario, we'll be like, okay, I want to post an offer item. So then also given, I will explain that in details before. You have a given, which is some preconditions that needs to be met. Then you have some and, so and then when you're some actions by the actor, then also then. So I will explain this in great details now. Someone, when you go to interview, I'll tell you. So if someone said, have you used BDD before? Yes. Even the fact that I just mentioned, yeah, I use BDD and it's giving when then. So I think sometimes it gives it the job because it knows, it shows that at least you know what exactly a BDD entails. There's no BDD without giving, whens, and then. So every scenario that you write will consist of those steps, which is known as the given step, the when step, and the then step. So first thing is a given one. Given one is the state that your system were before you start your testing, or what are the preconditions that has to be attained before you can say I want to start my testing. Preconditions, like I said, is a state of the application before your testing starts, or what you need to enable your testing. Example is when you want to log into your application, or even some people will also put navigation to that particular URL. So as an example of giving. So it's basically what you need to do before you start your testing. It's like a preconditions, what should be done. So then from there you move to your when. When describe your key actions. What exactly do you want to test? So maybe you want to interact with the user. I've said about before now that, okay, I want to post an advert. I want to post an item. So that's my action. So then, so every test you have a validation. I'll say maybe that's the most important part of a test, because you are set up to validate a scenario, or you are set up to validate that it's test or a requirement is being met. So in a then clause, that's where you put your validation to show that, okay, it means the observed outcome that you are expecting. So that's where you put those things. So you verify that something happens when you do the giving, and also and in the when clause. So I put a manual step for people that are familiar with how manual step works. So in a manual scenario, you have your test conditions, and which is your test condition, which is what the feature that you are testing. And also you have your precondition, which is the state your system should be in before you can start your testing. And also you have your action, which is what you need to do to perform your to lead you to where you want to be in order to get your expected behavior. And also, of course, when you get your expected behavior, you need to verify that it means the actual behavior that is being written in the requirement. Then you give you an outcome, whether it's pass or fail. That's the manual steps that people will go through. So how that now relates to a BDD is when you now have, in terms of your test conditions, you have a feature. When in your precondition is your given, and your actions is when you have your when. Your expected behavior is when you have the then clause, and also with the verification of your actual behavior is also stated in the then. Your outcome also will be ascertained at the then clause. So that's how everything maps together. So, and there's some and that you can put in there, because you've seen me talk about giving when then. So it's like getting is a language, right? when you want to have, even in English, you have conjunctions, right, that you use to conjunct different sentences. So, for instance, you have two men giving. So you don't want to write giving, 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 giving. In that regard, you don't do that. So you conjunct them with an and clause. So, and also you can also use a but. But even though you use and or but, it's basically look at them as the same thing. So a good example is this in terms of manual testing, how you're going to write your manual testing and how you need to do that in Specflow. So the first thing that you do is you post an ad. That's what you want to say. That's your test condition. I want to post an ad. In the same thing in your Specflow, you write the same thing. Post an ad. That's your feature. So, and then also in your precondition for manual testing, you say go to gfree.com, log in with users and password. And the same thing also in Specflow, you say giving a navigate to gfree.com, and also you can say and I log in with username and password. So you could as well pass what is the username and what is the password as a parameter. So we're going to discuss that in the next lesson, how you can pass parameters into your feature file. But today is basically getting the introductions, and so that we can be able to run fast with that. So in your actions, you have post an ad for your manual testing. But when you want to write it in Gherkin language, which is for Specflow, you put your when clause, and you say when I create a post ad or so. And then also when you are writing your manual testing, also to validate what you've just done, you put your steps. You say validate that the ad can be seen on my profile page. But in Specflow, you can now say then I can see the post on my profile page. And that's what you do in terms of manual testing and also in Specflow. So going swiftly to features. So now in terms of features, like I said, you start your scenario, you start your Specflow with a feature line, right? So your feature line explains that particular test condition that you're about to test, which is the header of that particular file. So, and then also you move to your scenarios. You can have as many scenarios as possible in a particular file. So, and each line of a scenario is what they call scenario steps. So each of these scenarios is now mapped with a step definition. So we go through that in a moment. So, and I don't want to bore you with this one. Of course, you can put tags in Specflow. We're going to talk about what is the importance of a tag, why do you need to put tags, and what's the point of that, and when do I use tags and everything, so that you'll be able to see. It's very, very important to use tag in a scenario, because then you can be able to limit tests that you want to run, and you can also exclude some tests, so which is also important. So, and in Specflow or in Gherkin, there's also a good keyword that is called background. When you use background, it is for you to specify a common preconditions for all your scenario in a feature file. I'll repeat that again. I said common preconditions for a scenario in a feature file. So you don't go and just put everything in a background thinking that it's because it's a precondition, but they have to be common across your testing. They have to be common. Sorry, 1 minute, please. So, like I said, the background. Can everyone meet? I'm trying to meet someone. I think someone's mic is echoing. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so the scenario outline, it's okay. I was talking about the background. I said background is specify a common precondition for all scenario in a feature file. So when you are going to use your background, make sure it is common to all scenarios. And I'll say sometimes you don't set out to start writing the background. You set out to write your scenario first. And when you write your first scenario and you put everything in that scenario outline, so after that you write the second scenario and you discover that, okay, this scenario is common to this particular scenario step. It's common in this particular feature line. So you move them out, you put them in the background. However, they have to be preconditioned because your background has to run before any other scenario is run. I'll repeat that. Your background is run for every scenario before any scenario is run in your system, in your feature file, which means that out 2 or 3 scenarios, your background run first, then the first scenario runs second. Then also it goes back to your background again, your scenario second runs again. So that means if you have 2 scenarios, your background is going to be run twice for your features start. So I've talked about comments, so and that's that. So let's go to the fun part. So let's set up Specflow. The first thing that you need to do, we are using Visual Studio. So you fire up your Visual Studio, create your new project, and also this step number 2 is what some people will miss lots of time, which is like installing Specflow Visual Studio integration. You only do that once, because but if you install your Visual Studio, then you need to do this step again. But if you only need to do it for your the instance of your Visual Studio, but then the rest one you need to do it for all your projects if you create a new project. So quickly, let's do that. So I will advise everyone to follow me on what I'm doing right now also, and try to see if they could do that. So I go to my Visual Studio. So I'll bring this up to my screen because so I create new project. Select that project. So Selenium, Specflow training. So, and in there you click on your test and you select unit test project. If you don't see that, then something's wrong with your installation. So ensure that you do that. Some people will use C# class, but I don't think that is the right approach. I would say some people use C# and or console application. To be honest, it's not. You are creating a test application, so you should use a test framework. So I wouldn't advise people to use a console application. So for that particular purpose, so you use test application. So you go to that and you click on OK. All right. So now you have everything that you just created in this Solution Explorer. So I will quickly, for those people that are not familiar with Visual Studio, you have like 3 different windows. One, you have your Test Explorer window. If you can't find it, just go to Test, Windows, and you see the Test Explorer there. So sometimes because people think it's gone, like that. You can see it again. So you need to go to Test, Windows, and you see your Test Explorer is there. So, and also now the second one is your Solution Explorer. That's where your files are stored. So if you want to navigate to different files, that's where you have everything. And also, when you click on the files, it displays the property of that particular files down. So the same way, sometimes if that goes away, like that, so if that goes away, so you need to go to View, Solution, and that is that coming back. So if you need to get that back, you go to View and you go to Solution Explorer. So okay, so that is that. Now we need to do two things because we're going to finish in the next at least, let's say, 7 minutes. So I'll be very fast. So I think the video should be available for you to go through again. So now what you need to do, we need to create some folders for what we're going to do. The first folder we need to do is for our feature files. So you click on folder and you features. So that stores our feature files. So now what you also need to do, so you also need to create another folder for your step definition. Add. So I'm going to send this material to you later. So after that, there's other thing that you need to do. You still need to create your common folder. You need to create different things, and also the file that store your Selenium. But today we stop at these two right now. So, but before we go, because I want to create one feature file before I leave. So, but for me to do that, I need to go into, because I've already installed extension, but some of us we've not actually done that. So you need to go to Tools, and after that you go to Extension, Tools, Extension and Update. Tools, Extension and Update. Then from there you search for Specflow. So if you search from here, Specflow, it should come out. Then you have already installed it, but you need to now click on Install. You only do this once for your Visual Studio installations. Then after that, you don't need to do it. As you can see, I'm not doing that right now. But if you haven't done that, you need to do that. So after you've done that, then you need to create your feature file. So right-click on your feature folder. Right-click on your feature folder. And click on Add New. You see, that is that. But right now, I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm just confirming that I've got my feature Specflow configured with my Visual Studio. If you cannot see any of this, that means you've not been able to extend your Visual Studio with Specflow. So you need to be able to see that you are seeing Specflow at the top. So Okay, I'm going to cancel that, so then we follow the process. Now, the next thing for you to do after you've added the extension is for you to add your NuGet package for Specflow. So right-click on your project. I said you have two files there, so don't mix them up. You have the solution file and you have the project file. So I'll be using them cautiously. I'll be telling you which one is which. So solutions is like the old folder. Inside the solution, you can have many projects. So, but right now we only have one project. So, and right-click on the project, and you have Manage NuGet Package. So you click on the Manage NuGet Package, and make sure you are online, because if you are not online, you won't be able to browse. So you click on the browse, and you browse and search for Specflow. Search for Specflow, and you click on Specflow, and you click on Install. I would advise use the latest version, so which is stable one. So you click on that. So then that is Specflow installed. So to confirm you've been able to install your Specflow, you go to your reference, and you should be able to see techtalk.specflow in your reference. So I'm going to collapse that again. So next, I need to create my feature file now. Click on my feature folder and click on add. I want to add new item. So now I want to add feature file. So I need to put the name of the feature file. I say add post. And it's .feature, but as I've already clicked on that, it doesn't matter, but that is that. So that creates add post.feature, and it now brings a template for you, which is the calculator template. Delete the one that you don't need. So for instance, I don't need all this. So, and even looking at that, you can see what it's trying to do for you, right? It's trying to create a calculator template for you. So if you want to add two numbers together, what are the steps to add two numbers together? So maybe we should just use it quickly. So for instance, this is thinking, okay, we are about to add two numbers. Given I enter 50 and I enter 70. So when I press add, then the result should be 120 on the screen. So that is your steps. So, and then also the explanation of your test is also here. I think before now we talk about the feature line and we talk about the scenarios, and also we can see that in that. So now this is where everything now mashed together. This is Gherkin and it's English, so everyone can understand it. But for your computer to understand what is translated or written in that English, then you need to write your step definition. So now what we need to do more often than not, I think it's better to put this in plural, step definitions. So I'm going to create step definition for this, but we are not going to use it, but I'll just create it for now. So next week we'll remove it. So I right click on anywhere. So you have three options to create your step definition. You can use F12 or go to definition. So that is saying that you haven't got any links to your step definition, so you can copy and you can do that. So I'm going to explain that next week, but then also you could as well say generate step definition for me. So that is going to bring every step definition that's not yet bound to any step definition. So then you can now bind them together. So and or copy them and paste them. So, but right now, let's try to generate them. So I'm put them in our step definition. So you click on generate, and then you specify where you want it to be stored. So I want it to be stored in my file, but I want it in my step definition folder. So, and that is that. So that is that here, and that is what you have. So you now have your giving clause has got its own step definition, and your when clause and your then clause. So this is where you now put your code. Whatever you want to do goes here. Whatever is the action for the giving clause goes there. Whatever is the action for your when clause goes there. Yeah, and your action for your then clause goes into this one. So next week we talk about now linking Selenium with that, so that we can be able to run that. So I think that is the end of this session today. And if you have any question, I'll only go a few minutes. Okay. Okay. Well, okay. We discussed using the WhatsApp chat. If you have any questions, so then we can go from there. So I would say before next week, try to see if you can run this step by yourself to create this step definition, and also creating the feature file, and also creating the step definition by yourself. So I will see you next week. Thank everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Honestly, my God.